Welcome back, everybody. It's me from the future here to talk about Tesla. We are on the 1 week chart. The date is Sunday, April 16th. So looking here at the Bollinger Bands on the 1 week chart, we definitely have some room to move up. We are still in a posture of that upper range for the Bollinger Bands, leaving plenty of room on the lower range if we decide to come back down at some point. With the Bollinger Bands, we tend to stay in the upper range during a bull run and then find ourselves in the lower range during the bear markets. So interestingly enough, we are up here in the upper range with room to move up. But in the past, when we've done this, we always find ourselves coming right back down into the lower range. We had the top, we had another point when we were up in the range, always moving back down. Simply put, we're just zigzagging in this Bollinger Band range in the 1 week chart. So we have the simple moving averages here, the 200 week finding support, the 100 week in the orange is our upper target if we find ourselves blasting up. The purple 50 week moving average is definitely coming down hard and will likely push us down to that next low. Again, this is the weekly chart. So every single candle that you see represents 1 full week. So looking at some trend lines, I've lined up a few things here for you to make it a little easier today and quicker, more efficient. We see a channel, again, similar to the Bollinger Bands, where our price is ping-ponging around in. What this shows me is that we have a little bit more room to move up only before we end up coming right back down and finding a floor again. Okay, it's similar to these past movements here. So here was our top. We found our way, we had a double peak top, and then we found our way down. Here was our second one. We came straight up, touched the top of the channel, came straight back down. And our third one was the big one. We came up, found our way up. There was kind of a double peak here, almost a triple peak, but we did touch that top of that channel and came straight down. And now we find ourselves in our current motion, and that's right here. What I believe is going to happen here again is we're going to find ourselves up, touch the top of this channel, and then move back down. Again, this is the 1 week chart. Our lows over the next weeks to come into June, 115, 116, and of course below sub $100, somewhere around $93, okay, is our bottom floor. These two lower trend lines are long-term floors which have supported in the past the history of the price, okay? So again, they're very valid in terms of coming back down and finding a support before we move out. Okay, since this is such a strong channel, it is very evident to me that we will just simply find ourselves pinging around in here for a little longer, whatever it might look like, until we get squeezed out and find our way moving up. In terms of that macro view for Tesla, we can do something like we see here, where we find ourselves moving back up and the price continues up to all-time highs over the months to come into 2024, 2025. But another scenario, rather than blasting out of this channel from this floor, we could find ourselves doing something similar to this. Let's continue with this same move where we find resistance. We come back down. Okay, and then we move up, but we could find ourselves just kind of bottoming out for a little while before we move up. That's another scenario as well. So one other quick item to look at is the Fibonacci's from our last top to bottom. So when we hit that local support back in early January, the very start of the year, we came back up. We actually blasted through the 238 Fibonacci. We blasted through the 382 Fibonacci. And we finally found resistance up there at the 0.5, which is pretty amazing, actually. There was such intense selling, mostly due to Elon selling off his stock to purchase Twitter. We blasted through 1, 2, and then finally found resistance at the third Fibonacci retracement. So I don't see us moving past that again, looking at this retracement. So I did point out a possibility of something like a 220, but looking at the Fibonacci's, it might be something more like a 207 before we come back down. So again, Fibonacci's are typically pretty accurate. I mean, you see how we've respected them for the most part, but we're also respecting this midterm trend line that we have here. that's been ongoing. So again, we could find ourselves moving up and down, or we can find ourselves moving all the way up and then down. So we're really just going to try to stay in this channel. I mean, let's respect the channel with the price movement. We'll amend this to more like a 208, 207 as a high short term, and also our lows at around 118 and sub 100 and like the $92 range. Okay, so I think that does it for the Tesla price. I think we have some pretty solid targets up and also some bearish targets below. Until then, buy low, sell high, and never sell at a loss. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Well, actually, Tesla is one of the most profound AI companies out there. It is not an auto company. It is a technology company. And autonomous taxi platforms, we believe, are the biggest opportunity in the next 5 to 10 years.
You know, we still think there's a lot of room to run for Tesla. I think the demand fears are really overblown. The point is electric vehicles are taking share while gas-powered cars are on the decline. And autonomous driving is totally going to change this business model. It's going to become much more of a recurring revenue business model as opposed to one-off car sales. It's going to turn these cars into, highly cash flow producing assets for Tesla. And I think that'll be super interesting. We think that could be over 60% of the company's value by 2026.